Top of the morning folks, today from the Reddit Rainforest. Tonight in traffic, I watched a girl in the car beside me very clearly getting herself off. Commuters of Reddit, what's the craziest thing you have seen someone do on the road? Saw a guy cook breakfast on his dashboard. He had one of those electric skillets on his dashboard and was cooking pancakes, bacon, and eggs while driving. One night at 3 AM, I was driving home with my brother. Out of nowhere, a minivan drove up next to us. Saw that the guy had a TV attachment connected to his windshield. Pretty sure those are illegal. I just thought, okay, that's weird, and kept driving. Suddenly, my brother starts screaming, "Holy malarkey, this guy's watching naked people." The weird part was that he kept driving right next to my car for a good while so we could watch with him. 2 items. Was on the highway doing about 65 when a car passed me in the fast lane. The driver was reading a newspaper in such a way that he could not see the road ahead of him. He would peek over the top of the paper once in a while. Was at a stoplight and the girl in the lane next to me was changing her top. No bra. After she changed she saw that I had been watching, blew me a kiss, and waved as she drove off. When I lived in Boston, I was driving with 3 friends on Storo Drive, parkway that hugs the river, and got stuck in pre-Fenway Red Sox traffic on the way to the game. We were just creeping along behind a green Ford Arista van for about 10 minutes before I noticed that they had one of those video monitors built into the ceiling above the rear view. This was a few years ago before dealers were offering these regularly. I noticed the van was completely full, and something was playing on the monitor. I scrunched down out of curiosity and boredom to see what it was, and realized it was a hardcore naked people with 2 guys ping a girl, with a sausage fest of 8 guys all calmly watching this while they waiting out the traffic to get to the ballpark. Upon mentioning this to my friends, all 3 of them scrunched down to get a view of it as well. So now there's 2 carloads of guys watching a naked people in traffic. We wind up following the van all the way to Fenway, and they turn into the same parking lot we did. Most awkward staring contest / silence ever ensued when we all piled out and headed into the game. I looked over to the car on my left while waiting in traffic, and an older gentleman was driving this very well kept book. He looked agitated and angry at the amount of traffic. I could relate to that I guess. Anyways, he saw me looking at him and just kinda glared at me for 2 minutes. I looked away, but I could feel his stare. It was eerie. Anyways, I look back and he has a bottle of pills in his hand. He then eats the entire bottle of pills. I'm stunned at this point. He starts to go a little nuts and then passes out. So here I am, looking at this guy who just offed himself. I'm terrified and start scrambling for my phone, which is conveniently placed in my crotch, which then leads to me dick punching myself in the scramble. I'm about to call an ambulance when he sits straight up and starts laughing at me. I wonder if this is common because I feel like I have heard about something like this before. I was driving down the freeway the other day, and there was a semi swerving all over the road. I stayed a bit behind him because his driving was making me nervous. Eventually I worked up the courage to pass him, and there was quite clearly a 3-year-old sitting in the trucker's lap, holding the steering wheel. My dad was a truck driver, and on my 8th birthday he took me on a day trip with him to drop off a trailer. On the way home, he had me trade places with him while we were going down the road. He kept his foot on the pedal and let me steer while we were going down the interstate. I remember that he just kept giving the truck more and more gas to mess with me, and I kept yelling at him to slow down. I remember this vividly as I was terrified the speedometer hit 80 before he slowed down and traded places with me again. Of course we did not pull over to switch. We just kept going down the road. As an adult, I cannot believe this happened. I saw someone playing a trumpet in traffic once. Saw a woman traveling at least 65 on the highway change her entire outfit from her worksuit to jeans and a blouse while steering and never slowing down once. I once saw a girl giving a guy road dome, but she was in the driver's seat. He was trying to steer while they coasted through a residential neighborhood. Driving down the highway once and saw a guy eating a bowl of noodles. I do not mean a dinky thing of instant ramen or whatever. It was an entire restaurant-sized bowl of soup noodles. The guy was going at it, chopsticks and spoon and everything, while controlling the wheel with his knees. I was once in a car getting a lift to football with a friend and his dad. We stopped at a traffic light and looked in the car next to us. Some guy in the passenger seat in the car over was sat with both fingers up his nose. He noticed we were looking, turned and gave us the most evil grin I have ever seen. took his fingers out of his nose and put them in his mouth. England is ducked up. Ha reminded me of a story. My buddy and I were in a lot of traffic, so I pretend to start blowing him with my head going up and down. Then I put suntan lotion all over my chin and looked at the car right next to us. Most horrified look on the guy's face, and he immediately switched lanes. A friend of mine was in a similar situation. He was driving along, and his friend dropped something on the floor of the car on the driver's side. So he bent over to pick it up. Stopped at a traffic light next to a couple of girls. Friend pokes his head up, makes eye contact with the girls in the car across from them, then wipes his mouth with a satisfied expression. There was much horror. I once rolled up to the lights, where a man's hands were full holding a cigarette in one hand and a cell phone in the other. So occupied with his phone call he did not move when the light turned green. The car behind him eventually beeped and gave the man such a fright he threw his cell phone out the window and sped off. I'm on the bus to college right now. 20 hours of commuting a week. Oh yeah. Decided I wanted to join in. Looked out the window to spot crazy folk in their motor vehicles. Strangest thing I saw was a woman with approximately 30 rolls of toilet paper on her backseat. Disappointing. One of the weirdest I have seen this year was a van pulling a horse trailer. The horse trailer was full of wood and there was a pony in the backseat of the van. A couple years ago I was on a road trip with friends, and we used to write signs on paper that said, "Show me your boobs." We'd show the signs to girls in our age bracket, but we'd also try to get truckers and dudes to react. Truckers would actually play along, and they seemed to get a good laugh out of it. Anyway, we see this car filled with chicks. The car is covered with us stickers, so we're pretty sure we have found the right car. We show the girls a sign and they all flash us. We cheer, but as I'm about to pull away I see that there is a toddler strapped in the back seat. He just looked horrified at what's going on. Late at night, see a two-door top-down BMW driving down the highway. Two people in there. Look over to change lanes. Look back. Only one person. Started driving slower. Past the car. Looked over. See a head bobbing up and down. Look at the guy. Made eye contact. Both did the bro nod. And I drove home. Got roadhead in the same spot a few months later. Lucky stretch of road. Once I saw, driving down the highway at 70 miles per hour, with every seat but the driver's seat filled with piles of clothing, and the woman driving the car actively folding the clothes. Was driving late at night behind a car going weirdly inconsistently fast. Had got his speed limit, then 15 under, then 5 under, then 5 over, and swerving a lot. I thought it might be a drunk driver. We got to a left turn, and both were going left. He took 5 seconds after the light went green to turn, and turned very slowly and awkwardly into the far right lane. I went into the left lane and went up next to him to see if he was drunk or dying or whatever, and if I needed to call the police. In the process, he swerved into my lane and almost smashed right into me. Dude had a full suitcase in his lap, opened up against the steering wheel, and was sorting through / reading papers from it while driving. I rolled down my window and shouted, "What the duck is wrong with you?" He jumps like he'd been sitting in silence and a train drove through his house or something. Startled like ducking crazy. Looks over at me and is breathing really heavily. He slows down and turns onto a side street that I'm pretty sure he did not intend to go down. Kinda think he might have had a heart attack. Kinda hope he had a heart attack. He should not be driving. Once I was drunk in the passenger seat of my friend's car being driven home after a night out. He had a nice, fast car, no patience, and somewhat of a bastard streak to him. So he did not put up with any malarkey on the road. He came up on someone in the fast lane going the speed limit, passed him, and then cut him off. The guy took exception, and we began to play freeway duck you at high speed, changing lanes, flipping the bird, riding each other's bumper, etc. Finally, drunken me realized I had a little ammunition in the form of a half-consumed strawberry shake in a sack on the floor. So the next time we passed the guy on the right I took careful, drunken aim, waited for just the right moment, and heaved the cup past my friend's nose and out the driver's side window at dude. Except the driver's side window was closed. My buddy somehow kept control of his car, reached over and hammered me in the nuts, and spent the rest of the drive home telling me what a stupid duck I was. I was at a red light next to a guy in Miami a few years ago. We both had our windows down, and I noticed a skunky smell coming from his way. I thought to myself, either somebody's having a party or someone forgot to do their shirt laundry. It was the guy next to me blazing up a fatty. He saw me staring at him. All he said was, "Hey man, it's not like it's heroin, man." I gave him a thumbs up. One time, while riding my motorcycle, I looked over at the car next to me and noticed the guy was singing Evanescence at the top of his lungs. It sounded beautiful. I followed him and listened to him sing for the next hour. Finally, at a stoplight, I tapped on his window and complimented him on his singing. One night, I was driving home around 2 AM from a buddy's house. As I pulled up to a stoplight, I saw a guy just plowing this woman from behind as she leaned against a newspaper stand. She looked over at my car, obviously wasted, and held up a newspaper like she found something interesting to read. She clearly did not think about how good of a disguise that was. Meanwhile, Jethro is still in full gear and notices nothing. Memorable experience. If you are reading this, you made it until the end of the video. There is no more after this. Click the thumbs up button since you liked the video because you made it until the end. On screen there should be some more videos similar to this. So either go do something else or watch another video. That's it. I do not know why you are still here. What are you waiting for, a secret message or something? Okay. Are you ready? The message is subscribers enjoy 2 great Reddit videos every day. Yeah, I know. What are you expecting though? This is a YouTube channel.